y todo eso que están diciendo por el chat, Sulmen. No van igual. Ya te digo yo que no pega igual de rápido un arma de tamaño 5 con un arma de tamaño 4. Porque es que lo sabemos, tío. Lo sabemos porque lo hemos probado más de una vez. ¿Sabes? Es que lo sabemos porque lo hemos jugado. Y lo estamos jugando ahora. O sea, del 1 al 4 no es lo mismo que del 5 en adelante. A ver, voy a hacer esto, chicos. Muteo aquí, Reggae.
Sí, sí, hazlo.
Sometimes we do our game dev segments where we showcase somebody and how they work and stuff like this. This week, it's a little bit different. We're just hanging out and we're just chatting with a man who I'm proud to introduce here, Gavin Rothery, superstar concept artist and major motion picture director. Gavin, how you doing, man?
Hi, yeah, thanks for that. I'm very well. Yeah, I'm good.
So Gavin Rothery here. Oh, my scene isn't changing. Let's do this. There we go. Nope, my scene's still not changing. I'm sorry, we have some technical problems. Hold on, please. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this. There we go.
Me está diciendo Discolando que no es capaz de cambiar la imagen. Bueno, para que no cojamos con Star Citizen Live, pues va de esto, ¿no? Es un sitio en un espacio en el que comparten pues partes del desarrollo de Star Citizen, haciéndolo en directo. Y bueno, pues podemos ver pues partes de cómo se crea Star Citizen o gente o saber cosas de la gente que trabaja en este maravilloso juego.
Of spacecraft that you have designed for Star Citizen in your time here. Do you know what the number is off the top of your head?
No, it's over 20. I mean, there was quite a few early on that I kind of chipped in on, but I didn't design the whole thing. Like things like the Starfarer and the Retaliator, you know, I worked on those, but I was doing like color schemes and things, you know, and like texturing and all that kind of stuff, like detail work. Wasn't actually designing the forms and the shapes. But even forgetting that stuff out, I think it's like 24 or something.
Yeah.
One car, one vehicle, one with wheels.
What was the vehicle?
Bueno, así de relax, el tipo ha diseñado ese vehículo y 24 naves para Star Citizen.
So I kind of have that in the back of my mind.
Os comento lo que está hablando, porque ya que está muteado, pues aprovecho. Lo que está hablando es de la maqueta esta de JF tal, que bueno, que es la compañía esta que ha hecho partner con Star Citizen para hacer maquetitas. Y dice que bueno, que hablando con Paul, que es una persona pues que es un verdadero artista y tal, y que fue, hablando con él, fue el que le introdució el que le animó a comprar esa maqueta, que tiene otro tipo de cosas hechas por ahí. Y entonces, mira, ahí está también Discolando ahí enseñando la movida, ¿no? Y entonces como que se lo planteó como reto el hacer esa maquetita, ¿no? Que tiene otras maquetas ahí, pues tiene una nave de Metal Gear y demás que lleva como unos años haciendo, que la va acabando poco a poco. Por eso estaba señalando ahí hacia la izquierda, ¿no? Que le gusta el mundo de las maquetas al hombre este también.
I was born in Yorkshire in 19. Okay, so what this is basically my brain leaking out into the real world via the conduit of other artists and industry, and it's amazing. Like when you create something which is, it's all virtual, right? All the work that I do with Paul and on Starcity and everybody else, it's all virtual. It's all on the computer. It's all digital. So when somebody takes the time to actually do a really finessed version of that in the real world that physically exists, it just blows my mind when I see it. It's like something's come out of my brain and it's real and I can hold it in my hands. The first time I ever experienced that was when I designed the sets for Moon. And it was when I designed everything in the computer, built the sets, lit them, everything in the computer, and then handed it off to a bunch of chippies and they built it. And walking through that set, when it was like half built, walking through it was just the most amazing thing. I was like, because I've been walking around the digital set.
Claro, está comentando de que una de las cosas más maravillosas que ocurren en su trabajo es cuando alguien realmente pues se toma el tiempo para poder hacer un concepto de los que él hace en la vida real y poder tenerlo en sus manos, ¿no? Que es una sensación increíble y que de hecho pues estuvo haciendo una serie de sets lunares y bueno pues estuvieron haciendo esos sets en la vida real, supongo que sería pues para Escuadrón 42 o lo que fuera, ¿no? Y que esa sensación de verlo ahí hecho, ese concepto que había hecho en digital y verlo trasladado a la vida real, que es algo que le impresiona y le gusta ver, ¿no?
In there, when you're in there, it's the same thing with archive. So when I can experience a physical version of something that's kind of only ever existed in my mind and then the computer, it blows my mind. I mean, I just pulled these off my other desk to show Jared a minute ago, but another example of this is this one here, which is a lunar rover from Moon. I made this. UNCL. Actually, this was the last one on the website, so those might all be gone forever, who knows. But I love the kind of 2020 garage kit scene. I mean...
parece que no, que el rollo eso no tiene que ver con Star Citizen, porque ese vehículo no es. No es, así que no tiene pinta. Es cuando tiene pinta de ser otro proyecto independiente que tenga, ¿no?
I just love it. I love it when people make real versions of stuff I've done. I did a thing, a design that I never finished, which was before all the new Star Wars movies came out from Disney. I did a design of a kind of a rough design of what I thought the Millennium Falcon should look like. And it was quite different. Have you seen that actually, Jared?
I don't think so.
Hang on, I'll see if I can find a picture of it. When I got it up on my website, I'm just gonna have to bring it up. So I did a whole, excuse me. I'm just showing the limitations of the human body by not being able to type and speak at the same time. I still haven't figured that one out. So let's have a look. Okay, this is, I'm just gonna do a quick screen share, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, I've just jumped to my website here.
So
this isn't
give me a second to
finished.
see if I read that. There you go.
This isn't finished. This is like...
Bueno, esto es una especie de concepto versión que hizo del halcón milenario que dice que no está finalizado todavía, pero es una versión que él hizo, ¿no? de esa nave.
This is before the new Star Wars films came out, and I'd never redesigned an existing ship before, and I thought, oh, it might be fun to have a go at the Falcon. So this is what I thought the Falcon would look like, you know, like a cool beefed up Falcon that I thought was quite interesting. And since I did this, it's kind of, this is so rough. This is all very, very work in progress stuff. But I put them on here just because I don't know if I'm ever going to get to finish it. And I just kind of liked the feel of it. But I just think...
Claro, simplemente pues se aventuró en hacer este rediseño del halcón milenario porque le apetecía y dice que todavía está work in progress.
To buy some model maker who wanted to make a model of it. So I sent over my 3D file.
Claro, dice que además recibió pues contacto de un diseñador de modelos que quería hacer un modelo de esta versión que hizo, que fue después de lo que de Star Wars se lanzase, las últimas pelis. Y que le apetecía hacer pues un halcón milenario dopado, ¿no? Así de buen rollo.
Switch away from it. So.
Oh, sorry, I just killed it. So yeah, you know, every now and again I get an email and I get a load of pictures of this build coming along, and it's amazing. I mean, this whole thing, like, actually, it's probably about 4 feet long. Actually, it's pretty big. It's like taking up a desk, like the pictures of it. And I don't know if this guy's ever going to finish it. He's been working on it for about 4 years now. But if you've ever been to the RPF, like the replica prop forum, Yeah, I love that. Love that website. You know, you get people doing these builds, and I mean, the dream build is the studio scale 5.5 foot Millennium Falcon model from The Empire Strikes Back, right?
Right.
And every now and again, somebody will be like, "I'm going for the ESB 4.5 foot, 5.5 foot, whatever Falcon," and you know, they'll buy all the old model kits to get the individual pieces, and they'll build it as accurately as they can to the original studio model. And you see these builds going on, they'll run for like 8-9 years, like people making this one model.
Right.
I love that stuff.
The
Honestly,
RPF is where I go whenever I think about, I I want to build this, or I want to cosplay this, or whatever. And then I go to the RPF and I'm like, no, I can't do that.
yes, you can. You can.
No,
Modeling is amazing.
It's the time involved.
Oh, that's
it's the time involved. I actually got you've been showing off all your stuff. I got a new thing. I want to show mine off, guys. If you were expecting any kind of format or shape to this show, this isn't going to be one of those. This when I say we hang out, sometimes this is a hangout. But I'm gonna.
Vale, dice Discord, avisa de que simplemente están ahí de charla, que si esperáis algún tipo de formato en estos shows, que este es uno de esos momentos en el que simplemente estamos aquí de charla agradable, ¿no?
3D build of one of our in-game helmets.
That's
right
sweet.
here. Let me go to the full screen here. Go to the full screen here so we can be seen. Folks who watched CitizenCon might remember that longtime Star Citizen Ken Shadow made himself an entire costume of this and won the first place. He came to town. He came to town this weekend, and we got to hang out for a bit. And yeah, he showed up with a little box and had one of these in there for me. So thank you.
Qué grande. El pavo este que se presentó al cosplay, que para mí tenía que haber ganado y tal, que hizo la armadura completa esta de Greika, de minería, se pasó por la ciudad, y, pues supongo que se la vivirá cerca de donde vivís colando, entiendo, y le llevó una cajita con el casco de regalo, ¿no? Para él. La verdad es que mola bastante.
If they find out that exists, they'll be delighted.
Yeah.
That whole thing about things coming out in the real world, it's cool.
You know, for the folks in chat that are like, put it on, I have an extra large head. It does not fit.
Vale, dice la gente que la gente le está diciendo que se lo ponga, pero que la cabeza que no le entra en la cabeza.
I only identify about 40% of it. Well, is that a Boring Company flamethrower? It's like it looks like there's a rifle with like some white furniture on the top.
Yes, it is not a flamethrower. It is not a flamethrower, and despite it not being a flamethrower, I am not allowed to shoot it in the office.
Is it BB gun?
I learned the hard way.
Is it BBs?
Let's just say there's not a whole lot of things CIG says, Jared, you can't do. Shooting that in the office is on the very short.
Está hablando de un rifle que tenía detrás que bueno, que dice de que lo disparó en la oficina, pero no tiene permiso de dispararlo más porque aprendió de la manera dura, ¿no? Que no tenía que dispararlo. Parece que hizo algún pequeño desajuste con el rifle por ahí.
People thought it was like an image, like a virtual background or whatever. And the first time I rolled back there and grabbed something, like chat was like, "It's real." I'm like, "Yeah."
Dice, mucha gente pensaba que el fondo que teníamos que era fake, que no era real, y cuando se acercó a pillar algo que la gente del chat empezó a volverse un poco loca diciendo, pero ¿es de verdad lo que tienes ahí? Que por cierto, la que tiene al lado del robotito de Star Wars, la picoball esa es la famosa picoball que a raíz de eso pues están repartidas por el verso y se supone que hay 9, pero o no sé si eran 9 o 7, pero que todavía no hemos sido capaces de encontrar, o yo no he visto a nadie que sea capaz de encontrar una en el verso hasta la fecha, a pesar de que supuestamente parece que están, ¿no?
It was awesome, actually.
I get a text from my mom. My mom doesn't text a whole lot. She goes, I went looking for you on the internet, and that was the first time I'm like, oh no. And she goes, I found this, and she links me my own wiki entry, and she literally the next.
Estaban hablando de eso, malísima, de que es un lanzallamas, pero que ahí no es un lanzallamas, o sea, que no lanza llamas, pero que no está permitido, o sea, no le permiten usarlo de todas maneras.
Star Citizen Live or ISC or CitizenCon or any of those things. I asked her once why she doesn't watch, and her exact answer was, I put up with your shit for 18 years. I know what you do. So I can't argue with it. She's right.
Hush but fair, Mum.
All right. So back when I lost my earpiece and I couldn't hear you for a while, when I came back, you were talking about Moon. You were talking about Moon. Moon, is, of course, is the motion picture written and directed by Duncan Jones, right?
Yeah.
Duncan.
Vale, ahora ya sabemos el tema, que yo ahí estaba un poco perdido, me pilló un poco a traspiés. Están hablando de Moon, que por lo visto Moon es una película que tiene... Una película, bueno, que ha salido, que la conocéis, yo creo, la de Moon. Y pues este señor, Gavin Rothery, pues ha hecho conceptos para esa peli, ¿no?
And being David
Warcraft.
Bowie's kid.
Yeah.
What was it like working on it? How'd you get involved in that?
Well, it's a funny thing, really, because Moon wasn't typical. I mean, it's like a lot of people that are, you know, when you look back on your life, things aren't typical, and the kind of, you know, you can't really design a way to get there. You just kind of ended up there, and it doesn't really work any other way when you look back at it. So Moon was a direct consequence of Duncan and I meeting at a games company back in '97, I think it was. We worked at a games company run by a chap called Demis Hassabis, who is Demis is a really interesting chap, actually. He now he's a programmer, and he set up a game studio, and he hired myself and Duncan independently. Now, Demis created a company called DeepMind, which was an AI company that he sold to Google. And they created AlphaGo, which was the software program which plays Go. You know, the is it Korean chess, like the ancient Korean chess?
Yeah, something like that.
No,
I'm not.
It's
I'm
like
not
a, yeah,
to know.
black and white stones on a wooden board on a grid. And originally, if you go back in the day, like go back to the 80s, people used to say, you know, they'll never be able to create a computer that's powerful enough to beat a human at chess, right? And then in the 80s, IBM created Deep Blue, beat Garry Kasparov, done. Humans are definitely inferior to computers when it comes to chess. After that, the big challenge was that no, they'll never be able to create a computer that can beat a human at Go because it's just got so much more complexity. But Demis did that like last year, 2 years ago. Yeah, Demis and his team pulled it off 2 years ago. So they created a software program that played the human champions, a chap called Lee Sedol, who's a South Korean guy, and it totally trousered him, like won 4 out of 5 matches. I'm surprised he got one in, actually, to be honest. But yeah, so Demis is like, he's a small guy with a large brain. I think his brain's so big it kind of goes down his neck into his shoulders. So yeah, we met with working at Demis's company. I was on the art team. Duncan was hired as a writer, and we just became friends. Like I didn't know who his dad was for like a year. We were just, you know, just.
Está hablando así, en resumen, está hablando de cómo, bueno, de Duncan, que es el director de la peli de Moon, de cómo se vio involucrado en esa peli y tal, y parece ser que estaban creando por los 80s y tal, o no, por los 80s no, en el 97 creo que dijo. Estuvo trabajando en una compañía que se llamaba Demis, que luego fue comprada por Google, y que una de las personas que trabajaba allí, aparte de, pues era una persona pues bastante inteligente, por lo visto, que había por aquella época una persecución de quién era capaz de crear un programa de ajedrez que fuera capaz de vencer a los grandes, tipo Kasparov, tipo Peña Gorda, y que eso era imposible hacer que una computadora fuera capaz de hacerlo, hasta que, bueno, pues el reto siguiente después de eso fue precisamente hacer un juego de computadora que fuera capaz de Go, que fuera capaz de vencer un campeón de Go, ¿no? El juego este de estrategia japonés. Y bueno, pues que cuenta la aventura de que efectivamente pues fueron capaces de arreglar un versus de la máquina contra uno de los campeones de Go de la época y tal. Y que bueno, que la persona esta que diseñó el programa, pues que es una persona súper inteligente y demás. Y que durante ese tiempo, pues Duncan estuvo trabajando de escritor y él estuvo trabajando como artista de concepto en ese programa, ¿no? Y a partir de ahí, pues se conocieron y nació esa relación, ¿no? Que tenían para luego ya, pues más adelante, pues trabajar en la peli de Moon.
We both love sci-fi, so he always wanted to do sci-fi stuff, and I was always like, oh well, I'll put some flying cars in the background. We'll just.
Pues puede ser chino, malísima. Puede ser chino.
House that I shared with a couple of other friends. We got our computer set up in a lounge, And we basically, the ultimate goal was make a sci-fi film, and we spent 10 years grinding away doing all sorts of stuff. Eventually we got some traction and doing some quite big commercials, which was great. Everyone's starting to get paid, careers are starting to kind of transform. That company that we worked at didn't stay.
Sí, lo acabo de buscar, es chino. Lleva. Sí, 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 chino. Pero los japos juegan al Go. O sea, los japos juegan al Go, sí que juegan al Go. Yo creo que sí, ¿no? Pues ya sabéis, chavales, la serie de anime, lo típico, al final. es un clásico, ¿no? Pero bueno, el ajedrez también. Creo que es. El ajedrez creo que es árabe, ¿no? Y me parece que es árabe. El origen es árabe y al final, pues. Se hizo muy famoso en Rusia y bueno, en Estados Unidos también, o sea, pilló mucha fama por el mundo, ¿no?
Pulled into film set.
Y por lo visto comentan que, claro, que la complejidad del Go, que yo la verdad es que no sé jugar, me gustaría aprender a jugarlo un día. Y comenta de que el Go es muchísimo más complejo que el ajedrez, ¿no?
Start off doing concept stuff and chucking ideas in when we're putting things together and designing stuff. And then at the end, I'm doing the VFX. So it's like I was on bus, and that led to me just being around in the middle, which led to me getting into making props and all this kind of stuff. And then I'd always get asked to act in stuff, and it was just like it was like my film school, right? It was like me going through film school. We had a couple of false starts, but eventually we made Moon. And that was all born of incredible frustration. Around 2006, we were like at our wits' end, and we were like, this is never going to work. Like, we've been banging our head against the wall for ages trying to make this whole thing work. And I remember we were in the lounge, and we'd been out for a few beers, and we were both getting quite deep into the whole kind of like, oh my God, this, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And basically, we just had a big chat and decided that we were going to give it the big full-on balls-out try that we'd never done before. We'd always just been like, waiting for other people. It's like, we're not going to wait for anybody. We're going to plow forwards. We're going to get it done. So it's like, we'll just start. I'm going to go and design a bunch of stuff. We'll get a story together, and we'll just start. We'll start as if we were making it, and we'll just commit to it. We'll just do it. And we did. And what do you know? It worked. It's like I just started designing everything. We're talking about stuff, got ideas for a story together. Duncan's writing it up. And pretty soon we had a script.
Está comentando un poquito la experiencia de lo que es el hacer la peli, ¿no? Que fue en plan de que un poco de que no se decidían, no acababan de decidirse y se sentaron a hablar y de, bueno, voy a empezar a hacer ideas, voy a empezar a hacer movidas, conceptos y tal, y a partir de ahí que vaya surgiendo. Y de repente, pues todo empezó a engranarse, todo empezó a tal, y realmente, pues funcionó, ¿no?
£1,000 is a chunk of money, and it was like, oh, like, oh, maybe we can scale it up a little bit. So we got a studio booked at Shepperton. Actually, they gave us a studio. It was really quiet at the time. They were wonderful. Shepperton were wonderful with us from Moon. And we basically started building a set, and it's like, same principle, got some money in the bank, spend it, get it done, get it built. And all of a sudden, we're building a set down at Shepperton Studios. We've got a script, got a load of designs, and it was like, is this going to happen? Is this going to be real? Duncan went over to New York and got a chat going with Sam Rockwell, and he agreed to do it. And it was like, holy shit, look at this. We got Sam Rockwell, we're building sets. And it just sort of happened. We just start, but what got us moving was through being so fed up and so down and just thinking like, this is never going to happen. We just decided to start as if it was real. And that momentum and inertia.
Claro, dice que al principio como que empezaron pues tenían la idea de que tenían ganas de hacerlo y tal, y pues simplemente decidieron tomar la decisión de empezar y lo que surgiera, y a través de eso pues fue ganando inercia el proyecto, hasta que finalmente pues pudieron tener la posibilidad de tener un estudio, alquilar un estudio, y a partir de ahí pues poder empezar a montar el set, la escena de la peli, y poco a poco pues fue haciéndose hasta que finalmente se convirtió en una realidad el proyecto de la peli.
November, December 2007. We finished the set, had Christmas, and then started shooting in January.
So it would be a couple of years then, and for those folks in the chat, some folks have joined us the show. We're chatting with Gav Rothery, concept artist and motion picture director. We'll get to that in a minute. Because we're gonna shill everything. I've decided to just we're just gonna turn right into it. We're just gonna shill everything. You can find Moon on video on demand and DVD, and you should check it out. It's a very good movie. Gav Rothery worked on it and did all the what was your actual title on? Is it just
All right.
scenic design?
There's a little story behind this. Check this out,
Okay.
right? When we finished Moon, when you finish a movie, right, you collect all the credits, and someone's basically got a big list, and it's what everybody did, right?
Right.
And you need that because it's got to go in the credit roller. So it's usually somebody in the production team's job to track that as you go along. And when you get to the end of the movie, and you just, one of the last bits of post you'll ever do with your credit roller, and you're going around and have I missed anything? What's going on? And there's lots of double checking and checking spellings and names. Someone always gets a name spelled wrong in the credits, always. Lots and lots of checking to try and get that stuff right, because once it's on there, it's on there.
Right.
And the producer Stuart, I remember I remember I was working and I was at my desk and he came and sat down next to me and he's like, all right, we've got to have a chat about the credit roller. And I was like, yeah, why? What's up? And he's like, he goes, I got to change your credits. And I was like, why? What do you mean? This is weird chat. And he goes, we got to change your credits because you've got too many.
Right.
And I goes, what do you mean? Because very much.
Dice que le está preguntando Discolando, bueno, entonces ¿cuál era? ¿Sabes lo mítico de los créditos que aparecen en las pelis al final, ¿no? De cuál es la lista de lo que se ocupa cada persona, pues director de no sé qué idiomas, tal, lo típico, ¿no? Pues que aparece ahí el tipo con los créditos y tal, que es algo que en algún momento pues el producer pues tiene que hacer en algún momento el gestionar los créditos y tal. Y le dijeron, tenemos que cambiar los créditos, tienes demasiados títulos.
Whenever you see a stuntman, whenever you see a spaceman, you can't see his face. That's me. But the only reason why I was doing that is because we couldn't afford a stuntman to do any of that stuff. And I was the same height and build as Sam, so I could fit in the suit. And he doesn't look like there's many stunts in Moon, but there was a bit where the rover is crashed and he has to get on top of it and he sort of helps him in and out. And to shoot that, we had the cab of the rover, the cab of the rover with the exterior panel in for the exterior of the rover mated to it. So you could stand on top of it and go into it. It was all one side thing. And that was on a big gimbal that moved when we did the driving stuff and it's rocking around. It's like a few feet off the ground on a big mechanical piston like this. It's controlled with a joystick. And on top of this big piston, there's like basically like a garden shed that inside is dressed like the Moon rover. And on top of that, there's a hatch in the roof. And on top of that is the dressing for the top of the rover. And I had to climb into it, right? So we had this whole structure and the whole thing was up on struts and stuff and on scaffolding. And I was stood about 20 odd feet off the ground, right? And I had to step off a scaffolding onto this rover. And after the crash in the movie, if you remember the movie, the rover gets ground into the back of the harvester and it ends up getting plowed into the ground at an angle. So it was like about a 15-degree angle. And I had to walk across it and then go down through a hatch. Now, there was nothing to hold on to. And I was like 20 odd foot up in the air, 25 feet in the air. And I was wearing a spacesuit, which had ski boots, snowboarding boots for the feet, right? Double stitched duvet. So I couldn't all kind of quite sort of give you that puffed up feeling. So it's tight. I had a helmet and a yoke on, which if you ever worn like a big helmet, like a space helmet for any reason, you got your helmet that comes off, but you've got this like shoulder piece that comes on, right? And under here is the bit, you've got like a ring around here, right? And you've got the helmet comes onto it. So basically you've got a cut off here that comes out about this far, right? Mm-hmm. And you can't see down. So you can't see your feet, right? You can't feel your feet because you've got snowboard boots on. So you can't feel anything. And I had to walk across this inclined surface, which is just covered in things like about the size of bricks, like lumps of like tech and pipes and stuff. I had to open a round hatch that was barely bigger than me with the backpack on. Then I had to get into it and climb down a little ladder and lower myself in without bumping the backpack. I had to do it about 25 times to get one where I didn't hit anything. And each time, all I had to do was just slightly, and also the surface of the rover was covered in like cement dust to make it look like lunar soil, which is really slippy, like cement dust on dry wood with paint on, incredibly slippy. So the whole thing was like really treacherous, and I had to do it again and again without moving too slowly that it looked stupid. And all I had to do was just lose my footing, and I would have just fallen like 20 odd feet. And we had those like rock climbing bags that mats are about that thick.
Vale, y está describiendo una escena en las que tuvo que hacer por el tema de que tenía muchos títulos y tal. Que hay una escena en la que está colgado a 20 pies de lo que es el rover de altura y de un rover, de un lunar, ¿no? Tiene que meterse y abrir una escotilla cuando el rover está inclinado y que tiene que hacerlo con un traje del espacio, bueno, un disfraz del espacio, ¿no? Con un aro aquí que no ve nada, que tiene que bajar por una superficie y tal, que tiene que ir con botas lunares. Se está enrollando, está soltando una chapa el cabrón, que flipáis. Por eso puse la cara descolando antes. Y nada, que está contando la experiencia de que tuvo que hacer eso y que le costó mucho, ¿no? Y que bueno, como diciendo que tuvo que hacer de todo, ¿no? En ese sentido.
I got. I was
Abriendo la escotilla y apenas teniendo sitio para pasar y todo eso, y bueno.
I got. He goes 17. I was doing like map paintings and all sorts of stuff. I was like, okay, what do we do? And he was like, well, let's combine a few and trim a few off. We'll see what happens. So I ended up getting 3 credits on Moon, and one of those is 3 credits in itself. And one of them's completely made up. It's a production concept, and it was supposed to be like concept design, production design, all of that meshed together. But what it actually does is it puts me outside any of those criteria on a search. So it kind of looks like I didn't do any of that work when I actually did like all of it. But, first film, who cares? Like, whatever, doesn't matter. But
Bueno, todo esto para contar que al final lo acabaron poniendo después de hacer un montón de cosas, aparte de tal, le pusieron como eh, Production Concept. Production Concept le pusieron y ya está. Después de todas las cosas que ha hecho la película, porque ha tenido que estar trabajando como actor, porque no tenían presupuesto para contratar a más peña y tal, y bueno, pues ha tenido que hacer veces de meterse en un astronauta, de hacer los diseños de tal, o sea, que ha hecho un montón de cosas realmente. Si no, los créditos serían todo el rato Gavin, Gavin Rothery, Gavin Rothery, Gavin Rothery. Pues eso. Esa es la historia de todo eso para contar que simplemente pues al final le pusieron un título en los créditos. En fin.
is this any good? Like, speaking really quietly, and I was like, what are you on about? What do you mean? And he goes, is this any good? Like, what we're doing here? Like, I can't tell. And I was like, thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I kind of don't know, like in the moment, like, because it's just a series of moments when you're filming, and you don't really have the holistic approach until you start seeing things coming together in the edit, which usually happens quite a bit later. So I sort of turned to Duncan, and I was like, well, I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't know. Like, we're both here, and we're both like looking through binoculars right now at this one moment right in front of us, and we don't have that broad vision, because once you get into production, you have to get laser focused on all the moments, so you kind of lose the broad picture a little bit when you're in your day-to-day, and that was what was going on. So I said, look, honestly, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Same as you, we're both in the same boat right now. But what I can tell you is that we've never tried as hard as anything in our lives as what we're doing now. This is us going full out. So if it doesn't work, it's not because we didn't try, because we're trying as hard as we can. And that's all I can tell you for real for now. And it's funny because that always stuck with me, because, that's what I did.
I feel you. I feel you. I've been here. I've been with CIG, since 2014, and I've been through enough jobs, enough different tasks and whatnot that I feel sorry for whoever's going to have to figure out the credits when it comes time to list me. It's going to be a very.
Bueno, en todo esto siguen hablando de los créditos, para que os hagáis una idea. Dice hablando de que te entiendo porque a mí me pasa lo mismo. He hecho un montón de cosas a lo largo de mi carrera en Cloud Imperium Games y siento pena de cuando alguien tiene que poner qué cojones soy en los créditos, ¿no? Dice Discolando.
Visual designer of more Star Citizen spaceships than any other human being alive or otherwise. We last year we did a show with Gav where we went through his entire work up into that point. That's still available on both Twitch and YouTube. You want to check that out. I believe it was called The Ships of Gavin Rothery. You can check that out. That's his entire history with Star Citizen. We're taking this hour to just hang out and get to know a little bit more about the dude himself. Star Citizen is not just a project of the people who work in-house, come in, day out, come to the office, work CIG salary. It is also the work of many incredibly talented outsourcers or freelancers, however you want to refer to it. Gav being one of them.
Claro, está diciendo Discolando que bueno, que este es un episodio para conocer un poco más a Gavin Rothery, y dice que Star Citizen no solo se conforma de los trabajadores que están en la empresa, sino de también pues gente que subcontratan o freelancers, como es el caso de Gavin, ¿no? Que pues es la persona que ha hecho más conceptos de naves, la persona viva que ha hecho más conceptos de naves para Star Citizen de momento hasta la fecha.
It's work you may have seen recently in the new Doom up in the movie theaters has done ships for us, including the Aegis Reclaimer and stuff like that. So we don't get to speak to these people very often. So I wanted to take 1 hour of the hundreds of hours we put out every year, the thousands of hours we've put out over my entire time here, and just get to know a dude. Get to see what takes him tick, and give him a chance to shill for a couple things. You know, like JDR Fabrications. We shilled for Moon, available on DVD and VOD, wherever you could find it. You ready to do one more shill?
Yeah, I've got a good one. Hang on, here we go. Where's it gone? I can't find it.
Let's do another shill.
I tied it up. Oh, hang on, here we go. Oh,
I actually don't know what he's grabbing right now.
Look at this.
It's just a hangout show, guys. There's no structure or format to this. We're chilling.
All right, I'm going for multiple covers here. All right, I'm shilling. Right, sorry about that. I tied it up and temporarily lost these. All right, I'm going in for a shill.
There you go.
There we go. Archive out now.
Archive. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's talk about Archive. Archive was the movie you wrote and directed.
Yes.
Esta es la otra peli que hizo, que se llama Archive, que sí, que la escribió y la dirigió, ¿no? Es otra peli que hizo el Gavin, ¿no? Aparte la de Moon.
Is you make a movie, so say that like it's so simple.
Bueno, la de Moon no la hizo él. La de Moon fue... Bueno, hizo muchas cosas, como ya hemos visto, ¿no? Pero...
Get everybody interested in what you're doing. Then you go out and find an actor that's got some clout. Then you go and see financiers and say, hey, I've got a cool script, got a cool actor, you know, this whole thing's going to make you some money. They say, cool, give you some money, bunch of deals get done. Excuse me, you go away, shoot your film, then you finish your film, and then you take that to distributors, which are companies that are located all around the world in all the different territories, and they make offers on your film, basically buy the rights to release it in their territory. And then once people go and watch the film and money starts coming in for the film, first thing that happens is they recoup their costs. And then on top of that, you have what's known as overages, which is where you're into actually making money, where it all gets split with a pre-approved deal. And that's how you make money with a film. You get a chunk of money for doing the deal. And then, you know, if it goes into profit, you'll get overages eventually after months and months and months of the clearance collections company sitting on it in their bank account. So basically what happened with Archive was when we'd finished it, the sales team at the production company did those deals with the film, and we sold out globally, theatrically, which meant that this little indie British science fiction film that we made was going to be like a global cinema release, which was just awesome. And then we had the pandemic and all the cinemas got shut. So, you know, what are you going to do?
For the folks in chat that are discussing.
Está comentando la historia de la peli de Archive, que claro, que al principio iba a ser una producción indie y tal, y al final acabó siendo una presentación de una peli indie a nivel global en cines, pero finalmente pues vino el COVID y ya sabéis el resto de la historia, ¿no? Que los cines se cerraron y bueno, pues ahí se quedó la peli de momento que están by.
Theaters had not officially opened yet, but we actually had a drive-in local. So I went to see it, and
se quedó en stand-by, o sea, del tema de las supuestas ganancias o la supuesta rentabilidad que iba a tener en el cine, ¿no? Que fue un poco... para la industria del cine, evidentemente, para lo que es la recaudación de taquilla, pues hombre, fue un golpe duro, está claro.
The first time I saw it, that the passenger side speaker in my car is blown out. I don't listen to a lot of a radio. So I actually saw it once, and then went and got the radio fixed, and then went back and saw it again. And I'm like, oh, that's what the other channel of audio sounds like the whole time I watched it. And then for folks who are talking about where you can watch it now, if I'm not mistaken, it's available on Amazon Prime. I don't think it's Netflix. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
It's not
Prime
Netflix,
Video.
but pretty much everywhere else. It's on Apple. Yeah, it's all over the place.
I'll see. Like I said, this wasn't a planned show. We've just naturally fallen into this. So
that's Archive on Blu-ray. Available on Blu-ray.
Está haciendo promoción, pero está haciendo promoción de cachondeo, pero está haciendo promoción de la peli, ¿no? Que la podemos encontrar en todas las plataformas. No sé. Hablaban de que está en Prime Video. Habrá que mirar.
The fire sign from Archive behind you, like almost directly behind you.
Ew.
There's a term for this kind of language that I've been sitting here trying to remember since you started the call. It's not like somatic
Hoarding.
symbols. What was it called?
Hoarding.
No. The design of the symbols.
Semiotic standard.
Say it again.
Semiotics.
Semiotic.
Yeah.
Semiotic standards. That always seemed like that would be fun in and of itself. Designing a semiotic standard for a game or for a movie, just that alone.
Well, this is, to be honest, when I was doing Archive, I mean, a lot of my work on Archive was me kind of doing what I did on Moon, but also, you know, the full-on writing, directing thing instead of just like chipping ideas in. I was actually doing it full time. So, but all the other stuff was the same. I was designing the set, all that stuff, graphic design, motion graphics, all that stuff. I was still doing all that work. And I was doing it because I wasn't doing it. We had a budget with Archive, and it was still a tight budget, but I could have got somebody else to do it if I wanted to. But I wanted to do it because it was actually relaxing and fun to do.
Vale, están hablando de que cuando hicieron la peli de Archive estuvieron diseñando una cosa que se llama semiotics. Que semiotics lo estoy leyendo aquí de Wikipedia, porque si no... es un signo que comunica cualquier cosa, que comunica un significado que no es el signo mismo al intérprete del signo. ¿Cómo? El significado puede ser internacional como una palabra pronunciada con un significado específico. Puede ser intencional o no intencional. O sea, ¿qué coño viene? Vamos a ver, porque esto no... Vamos a ver qué cojones es esto, porque esto es una locura. Vale, o sea, esto, o sea, no es tanta rayada, o sea, esto es un semiotic symbol, ya está. Vale, o sea, lo típico que vemos es esto.
About it, or it's doing something good for you, just do it.
It took me 35 years of life to find a place where I could get that second kind of energy. Speaking of which, let's talk about Star Citizen. We're now 40 minutes into our Star Citizen show. Let's do a little bit of Star Citizen here. One of the things we didn't cover the last time you were here was how you came to the project. You've shared a little bit about your early work in the game industry, back in the early 90s. You've now got a major motion picture under your belt with Moon in 2009. How'd you get caught up? How'd you come to Star Citizen?
Well, the story of the events that were happening in my life after Moon, I was quite burnt out after Moon. I was like, I'd worked on it for 22 months. I was burnt out and I was skint. I'd worked on it for 22 months. I'm gonna overshare a little bit now. Over that whole period, I earned £15,000 for 22 months. Right, I was in debt. I was on credit cards, living on credit cards. Working in the movies. Like, you can get to a certain point, and I'm sure it's awesome, but that's not where I am right now. And Moon. Like, I was living on cans of beans and soup. Honestly, that's where I was. I was super in debt. I wasn't in a great place. And I'd been grinding that whole period. So, I was when it finished, when it wrapped and it was all done, you can feel a bit adrift after these things, right? When you've been putting everything into something for such a long time and then it's just like done, you can kind of feel a little bit adrift sometimes. So I didn't want to jump into another movie because I put everything I had into Moon when I did it, and I put everything I had into Archive. And I just didn't, I was getting sent quite a lot of scripts from other people's movies and they just weren't sparking the joy. And I just couldn't see myself putting that much enthusiasm into this other material I was getting. So I thought, rather than under deliver, or if I'm not going to be able to do something like full on top level, I'll usually not do it, right? So I was passing on all these things, and I just needed to get my energy back a little bit. So I took a job at an advertising agency as a visual effects director to just spend, because I'd done loads of advertising with Duncan and know how the industry works, know a lot of people in it. So it was a nice place to kind of keep my head down for 3 years and just chill out a little bit and figure out what I wanted to do next. And that was when I figured out, put Archive together and decided that.
Le están preguntando de cómo acabaste en el proyecto de Star Citizen, ¿no? Está comentando un poco de que después de que acabara la peli de Moon y demás, recibí varios scripts y tal para trabajar, pero no se sentía inspirado, no sentía la chispa esa de la emoción de ponerse a trabajar en plan a full en lo que sería otra peli y demás, ¿no? Que quería buscar otra cosa, ¿no? No encontraba algo que le motivara para hacer algo en plan a full capacidad, y que si no encontraba eso, pues que no quería trabajar en ello, ¿no? Normalmente no hace eso, no trabaja en algo que no le da esa inspiración, esa chispa.
We're having a kid, that's pretty cool. It was all on purpose, it was all good. So it was like, hey, I'm going to be a dad, that's pretty cool. But, you know, I got to start taking things a bit more seriously maybe, and, you know, think a bit more long term. So I was looking at I basically ventured back out into the freelance space, thinking I'm going to be a bit more responsible and try and kind of, you know, because it's easy to not have much structure to your life when you're trying to do these kind of like you know, like writing a movie with the aim of directing it. It's quite a sort of high level dream type endeavor, and you don't know if or when that's going to happen, right? So you've got to be, but at the same time, my whole mentality has always been proceed as if it's real, and it'll, you know, sort of force it into existence like we did with Moon. So I was doing that with Archive, but at the same time getting all kind of slightly paranoid about the fact that, you know, I'm going to have a little baby living with us soon, and it's like, you know, maybe I have to temper my vision board a little bit, do you know what I mean, with a little bit of reality. So I was looking at getting back into the game concept space when coincidentally Paul Jones dropped in out of the blue asking me if I was available, and you know, what do you know I was? It was basically complete universal alignment, and what I was looking for in my perfect scenario were new clients that were really cool people I could get on with really fun work that was right in my wheelhouse. That was ideally what I was looking for. And then Star Citizen dropped in my lap, and I've been here for that's why I've been here for such a long time. It was exactly what I wanted. The universe delivered it into my lap, and so I just grabbed hold of it. And so here we are, like, what, how many...
Vale, está diciendo de que el tema de hacer pelis y tal, que en realidad pues que es un mundo apasionante, de soñar despierto, y de que pues de repente pues se iba a convertir en papá, y bueno, pues al convertirse en papá pues iba a tener una criatura, y como que quería algo que... con otras palabras lo está diciendo, pero como que tuviese un momento más ordenado en su vida, o algo más... menos demandante quizás, ¿no? Menos demandante como lo que es el tal de tratar de convertir un sueño que tienes en tu cabeza en algo que sea pues tangible, como puede ser una peli, ¿no? Entonces, Paul Jones lo contactó, y bueno, pues en ese momento si estaba, para ver si estaba disponible, y justamente lo que quería es eso, un lugar o sea, un sitio, un cliente, ¿no? Que le pudiera proporcionar esa estabilidad mientras hacía su trabajo desde casa, y además también relacionado con... O sea, le gustaba el tema ese de lo que es el hacer conceptos del espacio y demás. Y entonces, pues, Star Citizen parece como que dice que se alinearon los astros y que vino en un momento perfecto sobre la mesa esa oportunidad de trabajo, y que ahí sigue estando desde entonces, ¿no? Porque quería algo que fuese también, que no fuese sencillo, simplemente quería algo que fuese pues divertido, entretenido, ¿no? Y que supongo que también por la forma en la que lo dice, de que supusiera pues ese reto, esa aventura, pero sin ser entiendo que ese sacrificio que tienes que hacer a nivel personal, supongo, para poder hacer un trabajo pues más más demandante, como puede ser una peli, ¿no?
Really good space where I get offered jobs quite frequently, which is very cool, and you know, for me as a professional, it's great, but I'm just really happy on Star Citizen. It's me. I mean, most of my kind of day-to-day contact is with Paul Jones, and you know, we're really good friends. We get on really well. It's a pleasure to work with him. I just feel like we do really good work together. I feel like, I tell you what, show me another game that's got ships as nice as Star Citizen. The level of love that.
Claro, dice que está flipando, está súper contento con Star Citizen y que la relación que tiene con Paul Jones es muy buena. Que bueno, que sabéis que es uno de los pilares del asunto. Que puso a Juan Tripulación en un buen momento hablando de la Merchantman Banu, ¿verdad? El otro día. Entonces, el tema está diciendo que, claro, que él está. Que dice. Decirme otro juego que tenga la calidad o el detalle o las naves, ¿no? Que se ven en Star Citizen. No hay, ¿no? Y dice, claro, que realmente está súper contento de estar trabajando en el proyecto de Star Citizen.
All the attention everything gets. Like, I mean, yeah, they take time to do. They take a lot of effort goes into these things and a lot of time and resources, but the end result's just amazing. Like, I'm constantly amazed with what the build team do.
Claro, dice que efectivamente de que el trabajo y la preparación que se hace para las naves que es impresionante. Muchas veces nosotros decimos eso, ¿no? De que probablemente no vayamos a ver ese mimo, ese cuidado que se hace en naves como se hace en Star Citizen, porque al final una de las fuentes más importantes, si no la más importante de financiación de este juego son las naves, por lo tanto la forma en la que se hacen es una pasada, ¿no? Y de hecho que dice que siempre se ve sorprendido, ¿no? Siempre le sorprende y se ve como impresionado del trabajo que hacen los equipos que se dedican a construir las naves y hacerlo pues un producto dentro del juego, ¿no? A partir de esos conceptos.
Some chat questions here. What's your not talking? Don't mention the two that I just hinted at. Besides those two, what's your favorite ship that you've worked on for Star Citizen?
Okay, this is tricky because I'm very fond of them all.
Bueno, aparte de esas dos naves en las que no puedes hablar, dice Escolando, qué cabrón. Dice, ¿cuál es la nave que más que te ha molado trabajar en Star Citizen? ¿No
I personally love working on Star Citizen. It's Mark Hamill's ship. In the Star Citizen universe, it's basically Mark Hamill's X-Wing. And I got to watch that lovely, 2-minute cinematic of, I forget the character's name in verse, actually. But basically, being reunited with his ship. And he's just running his hand along it and having his memories of his old ship. And, oh, man, look, I've got some goosebumps going on here. I haven't been seeing those on the resolution on the camera, but I get to see that. I get to design this thing and then hand it over and, be happy with the work I've done. But then all this other work gets done. And then that drops, way down the road, that comes out. And then I get to watch it. And I'm just like, God damn, that's Luke Skywalker. And he's running his hands all over my ship. I love it.
What's your favorite ship and why is it the Merchantman? The Merchantman was actually originally designed by Emmanuel Shui. I never say his last name right. Another brilliant outsourced concept artist that I left off the list when I talked about it earlier. Emmanuel works today. He did some concept stuff for Dune, before George Hull did. He's also a world-class table tennis player.
Is he?
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. Competes super professionally at table tennis and whatever. But no, he's another tremendously talented outsource artist who did our original Banu Merchantman there. Let's see what other ships whatever questions do we have from the chat. Remember, this gentleman is a concept artist, folks. He is a concept artist.
Vale, la nave que más le mola creo que es el Gladius, porque por el tema todo de Mark Hamill y tal, y creo que ha dicho la Gladius, no me da tiempo a escucharlo, pero yo estoy casi seguro de que es esa, porque dice que cuando ve a Mark Hamill bajarse de esa nave, que se le ponen los pelos de punta por todo ese tema de Star Wars y demás, y ver que están realmente en esa Gladius, todo el hecho de diseñarla y demás, que le emociona, ¿no? Están comentando también el tema en el chat preguntan de por qué tu nave no es la favorita, no es la Merchantman y tal, y dice, pues, disculpando que la Merchantman es diseño de Manuel Shu, que además dice que es un excelente jugador de tenis de mesa y demás, pero bueno, que a ver un momento.
Forward. Also, the Argo line is very is you've had a lot of hand in the Argo line. Gosh, let me think. What can we?
I can't wait to see the Kraken come together.
The Kraken will be cool. The Kraken will be cool when that comes out. Let's see, at IAE, think of what we can say here. Let's say that folks can take a look forward to Argo Day, and folks should take a look forward to Misk Day. That's about all we'll share today. Keep your eye out for Argo Day and Misk Day.
Que estemos pendientes de lo que vamos a decir, qué más cosas podemos decir y tal. Vale.
I like a big misc.
Que nos preparemos para el día de Argo y para el día de Misk y que Misk es enorme. Enorme.
That's another thing I really love about working on Star Citizen, to be honest. It's a range of scale that I get to work on. You do something like the Crusader Ares, and it's like a cool little sports car. Then you do something like the Kraken, and it's like a quarter of a mile long flying aircraft carrier. It's awesome. And it's all in the same universe. It all needs to kind of fit together and belong together. You comfortable there?
Oh yeah, I'm very comfortable.
How are your feet? They're nice and cozy.
Yeah, it's that kind of
Good.
show. It's that kind of show. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up and get out of here before I get in trouble anymore.
Friday night.
Gav, thank you for hanging out with us on the show for an hour here. It is always a delight to see you, and when I'm in the UK next year, I'm just going to swing by and we'll grab some chips or something.
Cool, man.
Expect it down.
Look forward to it.
All right. For Gav Rothery, I'm Jared Huckabee. This has been Star Citizen Live. Meet Gav Rothery. If you haven't figured out the hints yet, IAE starts next week, where it's a whole bunch of days of all kinds of fun activities. Jax is coming back. There's spaceships you've seen before, and spaceships you'll be meeting for the very first time. Be sure to check that out and follow along with the robertspaceindustries.com website for all that detail. And if you haven't checked it out, check out yesterday's Inside Star Citizen, the future of space combat, where Yogi and Rich from the Vehicle Experience team took you through a little bit of yesterday, a little bit of today, and a little bit of tomorrow as far as the advancements of space combat and Star Citizen. Quite appropriate before we get into IAE. So take care, and we'll see you next week, everybody. Bye. See, see, easy. I absolutely didn't spoil nothing.
Al final está haciendo disparando muy fácil. Al final no he hecho spoiler de nada, ¿no? Casi nada. Bueno, está diciendo que eso, que la IA ya sabéis que viene la semana que viene, que le echéis un vistazo al tema de los Insight. Hablando de lo de la Kraken, está diciendo de que es increíble que la Kraken pues conviva con otras naves que hay en el juego y tal, y que toda la estructura y demás. Solo he dicho eso, no han dicho nada más de la Kraken y tal, porque estaban preguntando sobre la Kraken en la IA y no. Pero eso. Vamos a ver. Es que... Encuesta. Encuesta, chavales. Encuesta. Si Disco dice que la nave de Miss es tochérrima, veremos Hull C, Hull D, Hull E o las tres IAs de todo. Es que... Es que Discolando cuando ha dicho así, o sea, o sea, dice big, ¿sabes? Dice enorme. Enorme. Que va a ser la Hull C simplemente. O sea, la Hull C es tan grande. No es tan grande. O sea, no es tan grande la Hull C. La Hull Z. Me mola. Voto por la Hull Z también. Voto por la Hull Z. Yo lo veo. La Hull C desplegada tiene que ser enorme. Eh... La nave de exploración. ¿Qué meterá la nave de exploración? No sé, ni siquiera está en concepto, ¿no? O sea, está en concepto, no, está en servilleta de bar. A ver, voy con los chavales aquí un momento. A ver, chicos, ya estoy por aquí. ¿Me escucháis? ¿Coba? ¿Reggae? ¿Probando? Reggae no está, Coba tampoco. Vale, ninguno de los dos está. Eh... Es que vamos a volver a ver esto un momentito. Porque está aquí ya. Vamos a ver. O sea, vamos a ver. O sea, está aquí, ¿no? O sea, no. No, esto no es. Outer Spice Interface, no. Aquí está. En el momento que Discolando dice. Vamos a ver. ¿Cuándo lo dice?
Here, and we'll see you next. A little. Checked it out. Check out yesterday's of all kinds of. I'm just. I'm
You comfortable there? Scale that I get.
cannot lie. And Misk Day, and for Misk,
I like a big misc.
Claro, puede ser la Hull C. Puede ser la Hull C, porque si no. Si no sería. O sea. Vamos a ver. Es grande. Es grande, ¿no? Pero si no sería. Es enorme. O sea, Hull C, ¿vale? Julé. O sea, yo creo que está claro. Yo creo que sí. Hull C, Julé, ¿no? Yo creo que está claro que Julé es en plan de. Julé, ¿sabes? O sea, es la Hull C. Es la Hull C. La cuestión es. Yo creo que es la Hull C, pero la vamos a ver en el docking de. Yo creo que la vamos a ver en el docking de Port Tressler. Va a ser la vamos a ver en el docking de Port Dressler cargada hasta arriba, hasta las patas. Yo creo que la vamos a ver allí, en el docking de Port Dressler. Tiene toda la pinta. Tiene toda la maldita pinta que la vayamos a ver allí. ¡Ay! Madre mía. Sí, no he querido. Claro, porque al principio hay que tener cuidado porque vemos la emoción y tal y dices, hostia. Eh... Mirad la votación que hay en Twitter de Ares Redeemer o nubes. Nubes. Las nubes son una locura. Es impresionante, ¿no? Es impresionante cómo están. De hecho, vamos a ir a verlas ahora. Me voy a enchufar. Vamos a ir a verlas ahora. Tengo que cambiar el motor de salto a la nave porque... Porque, madre mía.
¿Qué vas a entrar?
Vamos a entrar a... Hombre... Hombre,
He
por...
tenido que reiniciar cuenta en el PU.
¿Por qué?
Pues porque me entré en la cárcel. Tenía ahí 2 de
Sin
criminalidad. Y
cabeza.
bueno, entré en la cárcel. Y sin cabeza, efectivamente.
Sin cabeza.
Efectivamente. No había manera de solucionarlo.
Sí, no. Yo creo que la 3.15.1 es la total, tío. A ver si resuelven. Ya sabemos que como cuando sale un parche, la que acaba de hacer la movida es la 15.1, tío. Siempre, la .1 es la que se juega. Y la .2 es la que se disfruta. Realmente. Yo Fair, la verdad que para mí no... O sea, para mí es una Hull. Es la Hull C y la vamos a ver y ya está. O sea, es la Hull C. O sea, no creo que salga... Es que entiendo que van a sacar la nave de exploración de Miss como concepto a la venta en algún momento. Y no sé si será en algún momento de este año, pero pinta que igual es en algún momento del año que viene. No sé, porque al final hemos visto eso, que han salido